Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly. And this week I want to talk about how we have terrorist groups, extremist jihadist groups, who have managed to co-opt so many of the Western world to be their propaganda arm. Now, what I'm specifically talking about today has to do with something which occurred in the last few days. An Israeli strike killed Gazan Anas al-Sharif, who also worked for a number of media outlets, Al Jazeera being one of them. The world was outraged that Israel had, in their words, killed a journalist. But then when we look a little bit into Mr. al-Sharif, it's very clear that he was not simply a journalist. Anas al-Sharif had been a member of Hamas. In fact, there are images of him hugging former Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, both looking very happy. It's very difficult to imagine that an impartial journalist would be hugging a monster of that nature. I know that there were many journalists who interviewed Osama bin Laden when he was in Afghanistan. I don't recall many pictures of said journalists then getting the moment to take a quick cuddle with bin Laden. No, it shows an affinity and a warmth. Israel has done a lot of intel work on Anas al-Sharif, identifying him as a Hamas leader and a Hamas commander, a Hamas operative, a terrorist. But the narrative in Western media is that he was a mere journalist, and this is part of some sort of Israeli campaign against journalists. Now, in Gaza, where freedom of press really isn't a thing under Hamas, and if you write a social media post which Hamas doesn't like, they will come and drag you out of your home and potentially execute you. It's strange that this journalist was allowed to operate. But none of that matters, because this is just another tool to demonize Israel, especially those who are uninvolved. Those people who have no knowledge of the Middle East, who have no knowledge of Hamas and Hamas' use of civilian infrastructure to commit acts of terror, but they simply jump on this talking point. If Hamas can use teachers, school teachers, to kidnap and murder Israelis on October 7th, and if it can use kindergartens to hide weapons, what then dictates that a journalist can't possibly be a Hamas terrorist? Surely that's more in keeping with the norm in Gaza than the exception to the rule. But again, this isn't about truth, it's not about journalism, it's about demonizing Israel. Yet, because a few media outlets have said this was a journalist, then everybody is jumping on this with outrage. These people who are just seeking some way to be relevant, and right now attacking Israel and the Jews is a way to stay relevant, whether you're on the left or the right. What are you going to do when Israel's war against Hamas is over? What cause are you going to jump on? Because you didn't care about people in Sudan dying daily. You don't care about the famine in Yemen that the Houthis have caused and children dying every single day. You seem to be completely blind and indifferent to the fact that Nigerians are being murdered every single day for their Christian faith. Throughout history, Jews have been scapegoated. And this is just that rebranded. But it's easier now. We can say it's not anti-Semitism, it's anti-Zionism. Because you're targeting the world's only Jewish state. You're singling that one Jewish state out for criticism that you will not leverage against any other regime. Regimes who are doing absolutely atrocious things. Regimes who are actually committing genocides and human rights violations. But again, that's not popular. Just because you say you're a journalist and own a press vest, it doesn't mean that you're not also a Hamas operative. And the images and the text messages that were revealed where he is celebrating the October 7th massacre highlight that. But it shows the moral bankruptcy in our societies, where Jews can be attacked in the street and people are not outraged by that. In the very country these people live, in their hometowns, they're being attacked. And their countrymen and women are more concerned about a terrorist being killed, are more concerned about glossing over the fact that there are still people being held by Hamas. Be educated, learn the facts, and stand shoulder to shoulder with our Jewish brothers and sisters, because when we are fighting this sort of darkness, a darkness which seeks to attack Jews wherever they are, It takes light to expose that darkness and call it for what it is. It is a responsibility to each and every single one of us to not be a bystander at this time. This is Kasim Hafeez for the CUFI Weekly. For Zion's sake, do not remain silent. Thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode hits. And if you want to check out some of our previous episodes, and we've got some really good ones, click on one of the thumbnails and that will take you right there. And finally, if you want to know more about CUFI and the work we do, go to cufi.org to check out all the resources we have available free to you.